Welcome back to TezTalks. Today's guest probably doesn't need much of an introduction if you've been around Tezos for a while. Jev Bjorsell from ECAD Labs is back with us for what I believe is his fourth time. And every time we've had him on, the conversation goes deeper. Jev's one of those rare guests who can talk about protocol level changes, developer ergonomics, and long-term roadmaps without losing you in the jargon. So if you're a builder, a curious community member, or someone trying to figure out where Tezos is headed next, this one's for you. We'll talk about what's new at ECAD Labs, what's changed in Jev's thinking over the years, and the kind of work that keeps showing up even when the headlines don't. Let's get into it. Jev, you're basically a TezTalks regular at this point. When you think back to your first appearance, what's the biggest shift between then and now?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Biggest shift between then and now. Well, yeah, blockchains. They're starting to be adopted, and in a way that they're less less on the top of everybody's minds, and I think that's a good thing. So the further we see blockchains becoming normalized and sort of disappearing, yet being here every day, that means the vision of blockchains is manifesting itself, and we're getting there. And hopefully we're going to get to a freer, more equitable medium of exchange.
So, what's the latest at ECAD Labs? What's been quietly keeping you up at night in a good way?
Yeah, things are going well. So the things I'm excited about is well, there's some of the changes we have coming in Tezos in the latest Sol protocol. We're seeing some good new features around new encryption algorithms that are kind of unlocking potential gains in Tezos. Um, and and with those new features we're getting, they're prerequisites of things we need to do to make the chain faster. Faster block times, being more responsive. But with those gains, and you kind of typically in technology, and I think society and generally, we gain an advantage in one place, and then that buys us some more complications in others. So it's fun with these new encryption algorithms coming into Tezos. It's called BLS, and it's a more modern encryption, but it changes some of the security assumptions we have around how bakers store these keys. So the traditional ways of storing these keys securely changes or shifts with these new changes. So then, in order to like be responsible and have these changes come in successfully, we need to adapt, and we need to make new features. We need to come up with new ways of protecting keys and ultimately securing the network.
Now, you've pushed a lot of updates people rely on but never see. What's something recent that felt maybe small to you but mattered big time behind the scenes?
Yeah, the well, we this year we shipped some new features in our signatory remote signer. So it now supports Amazon Cloud HSMs, which is pretty cool. And we had some notable bakers migrate from an older signer to signatory on the back of that. And as part of that change as well, we had to do some re-architecture of signatory to allow protection against double baking, this sort of thing. And in making those changes, we expanded signatory and how we can add more Vault backends and double baking protections for other infrastructures, so that we're not singular in a particular cloud provider. So that's when we shipped. It's not a very visible or public hoo-ha feature, but it has important lower level implications, and I think that ties into the overall security posture of the network.
Was there a moment where maybe you realized, wait, this could break everything?
Um, no, we so yeah, I'm an overthinker by nature, and I do get kept up at night thinking about things that can go wrong. So we at ECAD we have a pretty strong culture of software testing, and especially dog fooding. And I got chided recently because somebody didn't know what dog fooding means. So I guess I better explain it. Is So I mean, we build software, and it's important when you build something, you're also a user of that thing. And so the analogy is like eating one's own dog food, which I don't know where that comes from, but we certainly run all our own software in on testnets and in mainnet, and that's true for Takedo and also Signatory. And so we operate Signatory in a lot of different configurations on several testnets, and we do it in simple kind of single instance of deployments. We also do it in highly redundant deployments, so that we can have like a real hands-on, visceral sort of to build empathy with one's users. You need to put yourself in those shoes, and often that's sort of thought of as metaphorically, but we actually wear the shoes.
You're not pretending to wear the shoes. We appreciate that big
Yeah.
time. So, in your own words, how do you define success for ECAD Labs? What tells you that you're doing it right?
Often in a way it's being invisible. And well, I mean, I suppose it's easy to be invisible if no one's using your software or the things that you produce. No one's enjoying the art, if you will. So, but we have a strong user base for. I mean, both of our well-known open source projects, Takedo and Signatory, and we're sort of like a no drama team. I believe that we show up on time, and what we produce is of high quality. So yeah, no drama, and just being there on time, so others can get busy building, and I'm happy to be taken for granted by our downstream users, because that means they don't have to fret about this type of tooling, and they can get on and building value for the broader ecosystem and further.
Now, you've lived through the growing pains of protocol development. What's a technical hill you've backed off of over time?
Phew. Well, um, yeah, I mean, I've been involved in protocol governance since the very beginning. I have like we've stayed out of actual protocol development, but we're very supportive of and work closely with that end of things. I think, especially in this decentralized world, it's important not to be too paternalistic. And in the past, I would. I mean, maybe I put more effort into like trying to get everybody like aligned with a certain ideal or idea or security concern, that sort of thing, and it's there's some value in backing off in certain cases, and saying whatevs, and like let them let the children. I mean, and I don't mean that's a paternalistic sort of aspect of it, but let people figure it out for themselves. I think about my own kids actually. Is like, you can often get in there and try and get them going in the right direction or resolve a conflict, but also there's a lot of value in letting them figure it out themselves. Now, I'm not referring to our ecosystem as children by any means. They're peers, and they're esteemed peers at that. But there's value in going through the process of discourse and figuring things out. You don't always have to be a savior, and I'm certainly not. So yeah, decentralization is it's a thing, and it's a process, and a really important ingredient to all of it is time for people to understand the meaning of changes in protocols or how things work, and then coming to their own conclusions, and then there's that generally draws to a better consensus. So yeah, backing off trying to be paternalistic, I suppose, and I think there's value in that.
So, what do you think changed your mind?
Well, you can tell people things, you can show people things, but I mean, it's a lot better for people to figure it out for themselves, and that goes for me too. So if I slow down and listen, but keep engaging, like my opinions or my positions also shift, and rightly so. So we don't have it all figured out, and so thinking that we all have it figured out is imagining that I have it all like mapped out in my brain, and that's the way it's going to be. That's foolhardy. So I'm human too, and yeah, we all that's, so I guess that's that's sort of how I figured it out, I think.
But that makes sense. Now, if you could wave a magic wand and change how other developers see Tezos, what's the misconception you'd clear up instantly?
Um, yeah, so we're not North Korea of the blockchains. We're not an island, and we're not insular. We're quite welcoming, and there's a lot of value in building in this ecosystem, and there's a trajectory and a North Star. We there's a lot of evolution happening in Tezos, and that's been in its culture and its DNA since the beginning, with the notion of on-chain governance, and how we upgrade and evolve. So the evolutionary aspect of it is very, very important, and it goes back to the white paper with its reference to the game Nomic. So that ability to evolve is very important, and it's not only ability, because there's lots of chains that are upgrading quite quickly and quite successfully, just as TezosX has. But there's also a culture there as well that we need to that we carry forward, and it's valuable. Yeah, Tezos is here. It's in some ways it's been a bit of a sleeper, and I think we're seeing more enthusiasm and optimism around Tezos and its roadmap, and that was evident at the recent conference, and so yeah.
You've been doing this a long time. When the spotlight's off and progress feels slow, what keeps you showing up?
Yeah, curiosity. And I mean, there's not that many lulls. There's always something to work on and engage with. But yeah, I would say it's curiosity, and seeing how we can make this work that we're doing around blockchains more meaningful and valuable in a broader sense. Yeah.
What would "we got it" look like for you on the ground, like in how people actually use Tezos?
Um, e- uh, yeah, for it to be again, I mean, uh, this goes back. I believe it was attributed to Eric Schmidt, And he used to say, I believe it was him, was that like referring to the internet in the early days of the internet, it was that the internet will be here, will have arrived when it disappears. And what he meant by that is not actually like going away, but when everybody stops thinking about it and it's just part of our daily routine and fabric. And back then, when we thought about the internet, we and I'll date myself here, but we would be thinking about the modem noise of dial-ups and 56K modems, and
I love that sound.
yeah, and so there's a ceremony and a process to be on the internet. Now there's like there's a process and a ceremony to be off the internet, and it's different. And so that's certainly here. And today, to use Tezos or to use any blockchain is generally quite intentional. And you're mindful of it. It's like, oh, I'm going on the blockchain. I'm going to do X or Y. And I think we'll have succeeded when that disappears, and it's taken for granted, it's given, and that's how things work. And the idea of transacting in another way would feel like using a fax machine feels like today.
Some days I wish I had a fax machine. I really do. I don't know about you, but getting like documents from one place to another these days is quite interesting.
So my parents actually had a fax machine, and so they were Swedish, and they immigrated to Ireland, so they lived in Ireland, and so they had friends in like Sweden and different places. And they actually, and I only kind of realized this after I was cleaning out my late parents' stuff, but they had a meme economy or a meme network back then on fax machines. They would fax each other, and this was before email. They would fax each other images of comics or jokes, and some of them are just written out jokes. This is like pre-chain email, chainmail, and yeah, I mean, being the late 70s, early 80s, some of them were certainly not woke at all. But the point of bringing it up is that, like, yeah, meme and mimetic like culture only got its name, not so long ago, it's existed for a long time, and it was a thriving thing in a way in the fax economy.
Faxes, man. There's nothing better than getting it the first time, not having to resend it or like not missing. Anyway, sorry, I'm
Yeah,
dating
so if
myself.
you and me had a fax machine, and you were going to send me a fax, you'd probably send me a joke. You'd probably send me a meme.
Yeah, it would be
Or-
something along those lines, some sort of photocopied joke that I saw or something at that. Yes, I do remember those.
yeah.
You're dating me, man.
Mm.
Appreciate that. Now, do you ever finish shipping something and immediately want to take it back and redo it?
Um, Never. Yeah, no, it's happened. Definitely. I mean, sometimes you get so stoked on or excited about like shipping like a feature or something that's gonna like other people are waiting on and it's important. And I mean, I'd imagine like artists get this as well, as like they get excited about like what they're doing and they want to publish. Um, and so that exuberance and excitement can rush it. So sometimes you need to learn to like slow down and wait on it. And yeah, it's happened that we've not often, but we've probably uh, yeah ship something that like a little bit too early, and then have to do like a follow-up fix. It doesn't happen that much lately. Like we have a pretty good culture of doing betas and release candidates, but yes, it's like there's a drive there to do it because you want to provide value, you want to please.
That's fair. And I'm sure it only takes once to never want to ever do it again, right?
Yeah. I mean, you learn those lessons. Yeah.
That's fair. So, what is your favorite forgotten Tezos moment that doesn't get the credit it deserves?
um yeah, so the moments that have become sort of passe or normal are protocol upgrades now. In the
Mhm.
early days, and on the first like 5 or 6 especially, regardless of what time was happening, the transition of blocks, it might have been like being on the west coast of North America, it might have been good time for us, but it might have been like 2 a.m. in the morning, and like watching those blocks and like being on a Slack channel with a bunch of other people, or and watching that transition happen. And especially if like there's a bit of a pause with it, like the excitement and like the the holding of the breath, like is like, oh, is the chain gonna hang, is it gonna go ahead? So that was all to say, yeah, that's something I kind of in a perverse way miss. But now, I barely think about it. It's like, oh, the chain's going to transition to a new protocol at like X, at 10 o'clock, and it does, and we don't worry so much about it anymore. So yeah, there, especially in those early protocol transitions, there's a lot of magic there.
The soap opera days where
Yeah.
just you knew something was going to happen. You knew it. Not that it was intentional, not that we expected anything to go wrong, but like you said, I don't know, maybe I'm not the only one that sits up late at night wondering about what's going to go wrong too. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you on that. So you've probably been asked every ECAD question under the sun. What's one thing you wish someone would actually ask you about?
Phew. uh Yeah, so I'm not sure. I don't have one off the top of my head. The interviews are generally pretty good, covering all these bases. I mean, yourself and your predecessor Stu, all this, you always do such a good job. So it's like there's not a stone unturned. Um, yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I built ECAD or started a company on my own was, so I worked in some larger corporations, and they're kind of bureaucratic and political in nature. And there's certain things like that, there's an obvious like value path for certain things, but you can't take it because bureaucracy or politics. And so you have to take this meandering path, which is just wasting time. And time is our like I believe time is our most valuable commodity above everything else. And so I kept a text file of the things I'd do differently if I started my own business. And it wasn't that I was like definitely going to start my own business, but it was just this like these bullet points of like things and values that I like. If I was going to do something myself, I would not do this, or I would do these things. And partially successful. I think we have a good culture here, and I think we contribute to the larger ecosystem as well.
Now, did someone teach you to think like that, or is that a path that you sort of developed through trial and error?
I mean, I suppose, yeah. I don't think it's trial and error. Yeah, it's you get annoyed or you get frustrated, and there's energy in that, and so
Well, there's a lot of energy in that. I
y-
agree.
and you can shoot. There's well, a lot of times it depends on the person, or where you are in your age or whatever, but like by default we spend that type of energy unproductively or destructively. And so finding ways to channel that that energy into something like, and down the line, that's hopefully a bit more positive, is I guess that's what I was aiming for. I never really thought about it, so thanks for asking a question.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if you could do it all over again, just from top to bottom, is there anything you would change? Are you pretty happy with how it all turned out?
In the context of Tezos and ECAD and the ecosystem.
ECAD, Tezos, everything, man. Just so far, like I mean, you have a long history, not just with us, but just in general. Like from then till now, is there anything that stands out as moments that, man, you weathered but were worth it, or man, I if only I just turned left.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I think we're in a good place, but and like hindsight is 2020, so it's like it's not always like productive, but um, there within the ecosystem and sort of strategy, we've had a couple of reboots where we nearly threw the baby out with the bathwater, and maybe some of that wasn't all necessary. We could have been we could have avoided some, we could be further ahead than we are, but like that's life. And I think it's unfair to try and like point fingers back at things or certain events. Um, and um, and yeah, we're stronger for those trials and scenic routes, if you will.
That's fair. Now, you did mention CAN. You just came off of TezDev. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we TezDev this year was in the French Riviera, Cannes, in just in the beginning of July there, and yeah, no shade on Paris or Belgium, which were the previous host cities of that conference, but yeah, I appreciated being in Cannes. It was a lovely venue and a lovely setting. The conference itself was excellent. There's like so much, and there is a certain, and I don't want to denigrate the previous year because there was optimism there as well. But there's definitely like a more cohesion within the ecosystem. The attendees and the talks. There was more energy there and more optimism, which was, that's what conferences are for in a way. And so I think everybody came away like a little bit more excited and hopefully aligned as well. There's great announcements. The keynotes were good around the how Tezos X is evolving. There's a time and a place to show receipts, and there are some receipts showed on our progress between last year and this year around the Tezos X roadmap. So that was excellent, and it proceeds, and there's a lot there to be excited about. Some super interesting stuff around the arts and especially gaming. So some really cool announcements. And I'm always when attending a well-run event, I'm always very grateful that I'm not in my profession doesn't involve event management and setting these things up, because it's hard work. And to the people who organized and executed on the TezDev event this year, like they're second to none. Like it was really slick, really well run, and I was very very impressed.
Now, I hear they did an art thing they normally don't do at TezDev. Normally, isn't it just a tech feature? Isn't it just usually roadmaps and tech updates?
I think there was definitely more. Yeah, they have like an art area, and I believe, I mean, they had the people from Object.com were on several panels, and some other artists. So yeah, there's a good representation of artists there, which is great to see. And I think that makes it richer. If it's all very dogmatic, like tech focused. It's good to have the arts as a counter to that. You can't be all yin and no yang. So yeah, it was nice to see.
All right. Well, you came away from that feeling pretty strong. What's one insight you hope people walk away with today?
Yeah, well, I'm so yeah, the bigger picture of Tezos X, like it's happening. We have I'm down in the weeds to like talking about TZ4 addresses and BLS and stuff, and like that's but like that's down at the lower level, and we need to think a bit more higher level, a bit more abstract. So Tezos X is happening. The canonical roll-up vision is being executed upon. Etherlink is here to stay, and there's the other roll-ups such as TezLink and Justice is there's palpable progress on those as well. This unlocks a lot of things, and it's going to be exciting for the future. and it makes Tezos more accessible to the larger blockchain ecosystem as well, in terms of asset transfer and so yeah, there's some exciting things ahead. So there's always value being early. And yeah, I'd encourage people as a takeaway to re-engage with Tezos if you've been away for a while, or if you haven't been here before. Like, come try things out and get like show up early.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Tez Talks. Big thanks to Jev for coming back on and sharing what he's been building and thinking behind the scenes. Always a solid conversation when he's here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Blark.